So let's talk about the potential for motorcycle accidents, what you can do to avoid them. Step one, as you saw with me, don't get comfortable. Get comfortable, something bad's going to happen. It's the nature of the beast. As you go on, you ride longer, you're going to get more comfortable. Don't be. Don't act like every time is your first ride, but definitely do something to be, somewhat precautious. Obviously, but you want to reach a happy medium where, you're not overly confident and you're not overly scared, somewhere in between. Ways to avoid vehicles. Step one, planning. If you see that your only path of escape is being cut off, if you can avoid that particular vehicle being able to cut off your escape, and you can do so safely, do it. You'll see in the crash video I had, I originally saw everything, started to realize we're going to have a problem, started thinking, I'll just pull over the side, grab some B-roll footage of Lockheed Martin. Guess what? My escape route was gone. So that was part of having that collision. I probably should have slowed down a lot sooner. Can't undo it. It's too late now. For those who wonder, my foot is now at 90% or so, I would say, and I'm alive. That's always a good thing. Other things to look for: don't always be in the left lane. Don't always be in the right lane. Don't always be in the center lane. Your lane should be dictated by the traffic you're dealing with, the speed that you're going, and the condition of the road itself, as well as the weather conditions. My view is I pick a lane based upon, one, is it full of oil or grease? Because if it is, it doesn't matter what lane it is, it's disqualified. I was down in Virginia a couple years ago. I was on I-90. Some parts of Virginia on I-90, right after dark, the road starts getting the dew coming down and forming on it. It was like a sheet of freaking ice. And I've driven on sheets of ice. It's not a fun experience. I made it fine. I was successful. I didn't drop the bike at any point, but I had one or two harrowing thoughts where, I probably needed a change of clothes looking back at it. So you'll want to avoid that. That's road conditions. Think about that. Think about your escape path. If you stay in the left-hand lane causes a backup behind you of traffic, you don't want that. And the reason being is, well, for now they're staying back, but what about when they glance down to look at their cell phone real quick? Next thing you know, you're like, oh crap, boom, it's too late, it's gone. Depending on how hard they hit you. I've had various people that seem to think that the thing to do is to always tailgate a biker. You'll get used to it. Basically, just ride like everybody's trying to kill you. If you do that, more likely than not, you'll be fine. They don't mean to in most cases, but they forget the basics of driving. It's one of those things. I've caught myself once or twice in the car where I ended up with a bike in a blind spot that I didn't think a bike would have, one, fit in, and two, it was a Harley of all things, and I didn't hear it. Now, you know how the vast majority of Harley riders are. If you can't hear it, something's wrong. Well, don't know if he had the clutch pulled in or what. I didn't hear it. Maybe Harley came out with an electric bike. I haven't heard of it, but who knows? So that's another thing. Watch your blind spots. You do have blind spots on a bike. They're generally right over your shoulder because you can only turn your head so far, and if you got the helmet on, your vision will only go back, let's say right about here or so. Otherwise, you can turn your head all the hell around, and as you're doing that, you're also leaning the bike over at the same time. You're not realizing this, but it's too late at that point to realize it. You could be done for. Other strategies to avoid being hit, basically, or hitting somebody. Never ride somebody's ass. If you want to pass them, verify pretty darn well that you have room in case that pass fails. You get going over there hot and suddenly they pull in the left-hand lane and there's not enough room for the both of you, somebody's going to lose. And generally speaking, the heavier vehicle wins. You're not the heavier vehicle. Unless you're driving maybe like a little Suzuki Swift and you get a full-size cruiser, then that's a toss-up. But you don't want to find out. A couple other things I suggest, especially if you're a newer motorcyclist: diagnostic tools. This is a multimeter. Buy one. This is going to be able to tell you the vast majority of all electrical issues you're going to be able to fix with this. You can get these at Harbor Freight, Walmart, $10, $20. It doesn't have to be anything really special. But buy yourself a multimeter. Unless you're going to have the dealer do all service, in which case, one, you're going to be penniless, usually. Not for the first couple of years. First couple of years nowadays, almost all the bikes run reasonably well. But as time goes on, if you want to keep a bike and you want to keep refreshing over and over and over, pissing money away, you're going to want a multimeter. The other thing is learn how to change your own oil. Obviously, this isn't a collision safety thing per se, but it is. I have been behind one bike only, where for whatever reason the dealer didn't put the drain plug in as tight as they should have, and it rattled free, therefore dumping the contents of the oil from the crankcase right on the ground in front of me. And there was two of us that almost ate it. Neither one of us did. We kept it upright. We're from the great Northeast. We deal with ice. Get used to ice, get used to all kinds of variables. But keep in mind that it's kind of like lane sharing with other bikes. There's two thoughts on this. One, I personally only do it with one guy in the entire planet. Why? I just know how this guy thinks, so I know what he's going to do. You don't know what the vast majority of the public's going to do. You're thinking, we have this bump, this giant pothole coming up. Surely he's going to swing a little further to the left. He swings to the right. Next thing you know, the two of you are down. Or maybe you're not down, but you got a couple $100 worth of damage. Nobody wants that. I'll probably do a whole section on group rides. I don't attend group rides. I just don't. It's not that I don't like the folks, I just don't like the risk. And it seems like the more people you got going into a small confined space, the more likelihood things are going to go bad. It's not a good idea. So let's see, what else can you do to avoid motorcycle accidents? So proper maintenance of the bike, make sure the clutch, the brakes, everything work right. A lot of accidents possibly could be avoided if people did this. If you know your brakes are coming up, get them done a little sooner. That pad, I got 10,000 miles left. Well, you might. Or something could go wrong, it could wear through all that, and you don't suddenly find out till it's too freaking late. Especially with some of the newer brakes, some of them don't always squeal all that loud. Sometimes they don't even squeal at all. They should. But you should be counting on that. You should be doing your regular maintenance, giving your bike a look over every so often. I'll be the first to admit I don't do it half as often as I should. Recently I checked the bolt on the, I guess you'd call it the gear pedal, and found out that the bolt was a little bit loose, tightened that up. And I just felt, I felt a little bit of give. I put my foot on the pedal and it would kind of, it was going down and that cured that. But it was one of those things I probably should have caught a little bit earlier. The bolt wasn't loose to the point where it was going to fall out, but the assembly itself was too loose. So you don't want that. Other things to look at, I don't know why people don't do this. Replace your brake hoses on the schedule that the OEM recommends, unless you've went to an aftermarket, in which case go with what they suggest. The reason being, those hoses over time, it's just like in the car hoses go to the caliper, the rubber on the inside kind of deteriorates, and then what happens is the fluid will go in, and then the rubber will squish, it'll get pressure behind it, and it'll squish shut, and your brakes will end up on. You'll find out in the worst way possible, so just don't. Just replace them as you're supposed to. I am also one of those people that's went twice as long as they should. So the line replacement is in my very near future. I can feel the symptoms getting ready to go, and I don't want to be killing somebody for, $200 or so. I think you can get an aftermarket kit for like $130, $140. That's, reasonably priced at a reasonable quality. You don't want that. Okay, what else do we got? So we got the maintenance type issues. Oh, most important way of avoiding accidents, right here. Make sure you've properly slept. Make sure you don't have something significant on your mind. If there is something on your mind other than riding, probably going to have a problem. You don't wish it this way, nobody else wishes it this way, but the reality is that the human condition is such that if you got something on your mind, you're not going to pay full attention to what you need to, which is staying alive. You're going to enjoy the ride a lot more if you're not worried about, breakup, divorce, work problems, family problems, whatever. Just let that stop at your front door so you could enjoy your ride safely. And then when you get home, maybe then worry about it. Personally, there's nothing worth worrying about because 9 times out of 10, there ain't a damn thing you can do. What else do we have for collision avoiding strategies? Oh, you don't have to be the fastest person on the road. I love being the last guy in a trail of traffic. Quite a bit so. And the reason being is, unless somebody's swerving or something, or I think they're going to hit something and clip me, I generally try to stay near the rear. A couple advantages to this. One, it might help you avoid speeding tickets. If you're the slowest guy on there, and you don't have somebody up your ass, well, probably not the one getting the speeding ticket. Two, if you're back there and you see every car suddenly swerve to the left, there's probably a road obstacle and you have more time to swerve to the left. You're not going to eat that tire gator or what have you that's on the road. You don't want that. A couple other benefits of this. Let's say you were speeding. Not that I would suggest this, but let's say you were. Suddenly everybody starts hitting their brakes. More likely than not, you got a speed trap coming up. Wouldn't be a bad idea to slow down anyways. So maybe now's the time to look down at your speedo, realize you go a little faster, and slow the hell down. The other thing is if you're wearing a speedo on a motorcycle, please don't. Nobody wants to see your squirrel. What else do we have? So we have rider. I think that's pretty much it. If you like this video, go ahead and thumbs up. You want to. And for that like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.